Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I am so glad to be here. I'm so glad you chose to be here. My name is Nicole Vieno, and I am from Blue Monarch Health. I am also your brain protection expert and your head motivator. uh, I am so glad to be here with you, and I see a few other people are popping on, so we'll just give a couple minutes here for people to get on, and then we will get on to our presentation because I know your time is really important, and I want to get as much information out there as possible to have you learning as much as you can in this short time that we have together. So that being said, I'm going to begin because I have a few things to tell you before we get going. So the first thing is I always generally, every time I do a presentation or I work with clients in health coaching, I often light a candle because this is our space, our safe space, our sacred space to share time and energy with each other, but also to show that it is an opportunity to create a space that is unique and special. So I should show you my matchbox too, where I get my matches. This is from an artist called Vicki Sawyer, and she has all of these clever artistic creations, and they're all animals, and I love animals because animals connects me back to nature, and nature connects me back to the earth. So Vicki Sawyer's rendition of a goose wearing nature. And it's always a reminder to me that it doesn't matter what kind of hat you have as long as you put on a hat. In fact, you can turn a hat and make a hat out of anything. And that's kind of how I like to live my life, is making the best out of what you have. So taking a match from that matchbox and just lighting a candle for our special time together. And also a reminder of all of us, all of those people who cannot be with us today, that we have space for them too. I also pulled out some flowers for you. They happen to be rubber. It's not the season for flowers, but we still have that connection with nature, which helps us bring us present. And speaking of being present, I always like to begin any learning environment because we're rushing. We're trying to get places. We're trying to get to see what's going on. We have a lot of things going on that we can tend to not be as present as we possibly can. So I'd like to invite us to come into this space with each other in our own bodies and minds by a very short awareness practice. And an awareness practice just has a lot of scientific benefits for creating more brain volume, specifically in our hippocampus, in our gray matter of our brains. So this meditation involves our fingers, and it also involves our minds, our imagination, and saying some words in our own mind, or if you happen to be in a space where you can say the words out loud, you are welcome to do that as well. So the words are, I open myself to possibility. I open myself to possibility. Then we use our fingers. I open myself to possibility. I open myself to possibility. And you can use your fingers in any of those ways of words. I open myself to possibility. So allow yourself to be seated at the back of your chair. Let it hold you. And if it feels available to you, soften your eyes or even close them. Over the next couple of minutes, we'll be saying the words in our mind, I am open to possibility. And we use our fingers as a grounding to help the words sink into our body. So, in your own time, in your own breath, begin to say the words, I am open to possibility. I am open to possibility. I am open to possibility. If your mind wanders away into something else, it's completely normal. Just gently welcome your mind back to saying the words, I am open to possibility. And now complete your next round of this mantra. And then once you have, just let your hands fall into your lap, comfortable wherever they may fall. And notice how you are. And now in your own time, coming back into this space. When you open your eyes, you're going to feel energetic and alive and ready to learn whatever comes your way in possibility. And welcome back. Thank you for becoming more present with me, for slowing down. And for now, you're open to any of the possibilities that you may invite right into your mind, into your heart, into your being. And now let's move into our presentation. And your healthy, vital brain. I'm going to try to teach you as many things as I can in this short time together and share with you some everyday habits and behaviors that help your brain and body stay vital no matter what stage of life you're in. And yes, it's with me. I'm Nicole Viano. I have my master's in nursing. I have been board certified, or I am board certified as an integrative nurse coach, which is really a health and wellness coach that helps people figure out how to turn all of this knowledge we're going to learn into action into your life. And I like to call myself a brain protection expert and head motivator because I focus a lot on keeping people's brains healthy. And when we take care of our brains, we actually take care of our whole beings, all of us. So you are in good hands. So a little bit about me, just told you my name. I am a critical care nurse. I worked in intensive care for decades. I worked with thousands of people. And if ever they recovered well enough for me to be able to talk to them, often the conversations always led to, well, Nicole, no one's ever told me about things I can do to reduce my stress. No one's ever taught me how I can eat better so I feel better. No one's ever taught me that I should learn how to sleep better. And these are things I could do, the things you're telling me. And over the years, I became very, very, distraught with the healthcare system because we just are not set up to help people understand the ways that they can create in their lives that help make them feel healthy and vital and strong and prevent them from showing up in a bed in the ICU. And so I decided I would dedicate the last portions of my career to prevention of illness, to mitigation, slowing down disease, and helping people gain power and have a voice in their own health. So that's what this presentation is about, to give you tips and tools to help you feel vital and strong, no matter what stage of life you're in. So along my journey in intensive care, and before intensive care, I also taught group fitness and I taught personal training, and I still do all of these things. I'm a yoga teacher. I have all of these credentials that support what I do, as well as nutrition certifications. And I don't tell you this to brag about it. Instead, I'm telling you this to show you that I've dedicated my life on how to keep people healthy. And now I'm really focusing all of my might on sharing information and helping people garner as much as they possibly can to support them, no matter where they are in their life. So some of you may have never had anybody who really ever taught you anything related to health. Sometimes you go into your doctor's office and you try to spew off all the things that are happening to you, but you only have about 15 minutes, and they tend to always have their hand on the doorknob waiting to go out. It's really not a system that's designed to take care of you as a whole being. In fact, they kind of treat you like a body part. Right? If you have something wrong with your heart, they only focus on your heart. If you have something wrong with your arm, they only focus on your arm. Well, the truth is that you are more than just an arm or a heart or a belly or a brain. You're actually a whole human being filled with many, many different facets of you. You have a social side. You have an environment side. You have a spiritual side. You have relationships, the way you behave in life. All of these things are wrapped up to make you who you are. And every one of us has a story that goes along with all of those facets as well. So all of these things influence us in our ways of being, doing, acting, and also in our health. And so it's very important to have a whole big holistic picture as we think about our future health, so that we see ourselves as a whole being. And the reason I share this with you is that when I was an intensive care nurse, I thought I was doing everything possible to take care of myself. I worked out every day. I ate well. And then I would go into this really stressful environment, and I would be stressed out seeing a lot of people suffer and a lot of sicknesses happening. And what I didn't know was that I had a spiritual side that I was ignoring. I had a mind side that I was ignoring. I didn't realize that all of these facets needed to be nurtured. And because of that, I developed something called compassion fatigue or burnout. Some of you may have felt burnout, where you just feel apathetic. You don't want to go to work. You think you're not doing a good job. And that's not really a good place to feel. And what I didn't realize was that was happening to me. And I had a reason for feeling that way. I just thought I was a bad nurse. Well, the truth was, as I was actually sick, because I hadn't cared for all of my being. So having known this, and also having realized this, and then taken steps and actions to improve my health, I was able to actually learn a lot of these behaviors and tools and tips so that I can share with others in the process of healing ourselves and recognizing that we are more than just an arm. So, some of you may not even know that nurses have been voted #1 for honesty and ethical standards for the past, it's actually 18 years, almost in a row. We had 1 year where somebody else snuck up to the top of the ranks. But just so you know that all this information that I'm going to share with you comes from my heart, yes, but it also comes from science. So it's based on science and research. So all of it can be trusted, and I know that I'm honest and ethical. But this is actually a really big fact. Also, you may not have ever worked with someone who has got a lot of heart in what they do, or someone who really cares about you and your well-being. And that's what I do. I take you and I care for you in all of your wholeness. But the really special thing about me is my mère, my grandma. My grandmother You can see her picture there. She's actually wearing a fun wig. And I'm in the bottom, and my sister and my brother are in this picture as well. And my mère lived through 13 different strokes in her life. And you can see how her left arm is kind of curled underneath her. She lost movement of her left side of her body. She lost her speech. She was a really super funny lady, and she was filled with a lot of fire for her life. And I slowly saw her decline. After every stroke, she recovered, and then she had another stroke, and she recovered less. And she had rehab and recovery and recovered less and less and less. And soon, some of her memory was lost, and then her body followed, and then she lost her zest, and she lost her life. But before she lost her life, she taught me something really special. And that is how to see things that are not being said. Because she helped me see and taught me that there are many ways to communicate. And so I help people through their life process by helping them see things they may not see. And so I hope that you'll find some fun things within this presentation that will help you see things on a different way, the possibilities. So Alzheimer's disease or vascular dementia or dementia itself. Dementia is a scary word for many of us. Most of us do not want to ever have to say the word. It is rough. And so what I want to let you know is you are in the right place. You are in the right place if you yourself actually have noticed some memory changes, but are afraid to tell anyone about it. Now, I will have a short caveat to this because not all memory changes or changes in patterns of the way you think or behave are related to dementia. Some of them are related to other ways or other disease processes, even as simple as a vitamin deficiency. So if you're having any memory changes, you've got to tell somebody about it. Or if you notice things are different for you, you've got to tell somebody about it. Go to see your doctor so that you can get yourself checked up, because it may not be dementia. It could be something completely different. You're in the right place if maybe you've had genetic testing and it shows up that you have APOE4 alleles and you just don't know what to do with. Some of us may have had genetic testing, and if this is you, this presentation is for you. And if it's not for you, you're still going to find a lot of things in this presentation. Or maybe you are watching a loved one slowly decline from dementia. They're slowly getting stolen away from this horrible disease. And you're terrified that it could happen to you. You want to do something about it. Or maybe you're just ready to take action. You want to take action so you can get things ready, get things aligned, and take action for your own strong, vital brain and body. Or maybe you're feeling like, Nicole, everything's status quo. I'm just here to just listen to what you have to say because I like you. Well, thanks for that. But the truth is that dementia starts brewing decades before any signs and symptoms show up. So that means 10, 20, 30 years that slowly brain cells are being destroyed. And this can also be connected back to many other disease processes. It's not like one day you wake up and all of a sudden you have dementia. Or it's not one day you wake up and all of a sudden you are going to have a heart attack. These things have been brewing in your body. And there are things that you can do to slow disease process down, even if you have genetics for it. And wouldn't it be great to just live life like these people? Living in the moment, having vitality, joy, friendships, great relationships, just feeling good and strong in your body, no matter what stage of life you're in. Because even in illness, you can find your version of health. So back to this ugly word of dementia. You know what? It is not a fun word at all. And I just want to touch base on it because there are a lot of different types of dementia. Dementia is actually just the word for the syndrome of all of these neurodegenerative diseases. The two things that we're going to focus on today are going to be related to Alzheimer's disease because that is the #1 dementia. And the second form of dementia, which is vascular dementia, which is, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, there's also a mixed dementia that comes into play, where maybe you don't just have Alzheimer's disease, maybe you have dementia with Lewy bodies and a little bit of Parkinson's disease. Like all of these things are kind of intertwined and can be intertwined with each other. And we're seeing a lot more diagnosis of mixed dementias as well. So you may have heard of amyloid or tangles in any of your reading or if you're hearing something on the news. And basically, what beta amyloid plaque is it's protein that binds up on the outside of nerve cells. Okay, so tangles are proteins that build up on the inside of nerve cells or your neurons in your brain, your cells. And so what this does, of course, is our normal synapses, or the way the brain send messages to each other, get messed up because they can't go through the proteins. And so we end up with some cell death. So the messages can't be sent, and then also because of this plaque and the tangles, the cells actually die. And when the cells die, unfortunately, they cannot be repaired. So this happens specifically in Alzheimer's disease. And the second top dementia is vascular dementia. So this is like what happened to my mère. She had vascular dementia from high blood pressure. And anyone who has high blood pressure or a lot of inflammation in their cells, maybe they have diabetes, if you smoke, if you have atrial fibrillation, anything that ends up affecting the vessels that carry blood to your body, those vessels can actually become blocked. And now we usually think of this as like the big vessels, the vessels that lead to your heart or the vessels that lead to your brain that cause a stroke or a heart attack when it's dealing with your vessels that lead to your heart. But what also we should know about is that vascular dementia happens at the micro level. So we're talking the smallest, tiniest little vessels that can become blocked or inflamed, or they don't allow all of the blood and the oxygen needed for the brain to function properly. And so we start to see a decline in cells because they're not getting enough blood and oxygen to them to take care of them. So these two top dementias are what we're really focusing on here in this presentation and all of that we talk about today. So one of the big questions I get often is, what about DNA? My grandmother had dementia, so that means that I'm going to get dementia, right? You may think that. My mom had diabetes, so my mom had diabetes, that means I'm going to get diabetes. So there's nothing I can do about it, so I may as well just go through my life. I'm certain to get diabetes. Well, the truth is that yes, you are born with certain genes that you can't get rid of. You will have those genes. You can't do anything about it. But the truth is that there's this really cool science out there called epigenetics. And what epigenetics does is epigenetics controls genes by turning their expression on or off. So epigenetics is the thing that we're excited about here in this presentation, because we know that lifestyle, the things we eat, how we sleep, our stress levels, what's in our environment, all these lifestyle strategies that we have that we do every day cause these chemical modifications to our genes and can turn them on or off. And that's this whole idea of epigenetics. So the things that we do or the things we don't do can either turn off or turn on the gene expression for diabetes or for dementia or for high blood pressure. So this to me is huge, because the stuff that we do, so these are 7 lifestyle strategies that I focus on when I do health coaching with people. The first is nourishment. The second, reducing environmental toxins, how to sleep better, how to stress less, how to move more, continuous learning, really focusing on learning for the brain. Like right now, you know what I'm learning? How to play the ukulele. First off, I had to learn how to spell ukulele because that's a tricky one. And now I'm learning how to play it, and it's so much fun, but it's keeping my brain synapses going. It's keeping the blood flow to my brain. And then the final one is positive socialization, the way that we connect with other people and how we do that. And we try to keep it positive, because positive connections actually enhance the conductivity of our brain cells as well. Negative ones, don't do it. But all of these lifestyle strategies, the things that we do, turn on or turn off the light switch in our genes, epigenetics. So the thing is that my mère didn't have this research. She did not ever learn this because it was not even available when she was alive. But it is available now. This new research that shows the things we do on a daily basis turn on or turn off our gene expression. So it is important to learn all of this stuff, and it does give us power, because now we know that the things we do have an effect on our future, on our present, and on our future health. So that's why I say it's powerful, because we can 1-2 punch to the genetics if we do or don't do certain things. So my mère didn't have the science, but you are going to learn some of the science, and you've already learned a little bit of science right now already. And this science gives us hope in our present self and hope in our future. And even if we do have the beginnings of disease, or we're living with a disease, there are things we can do to slow it down, to keep it where it's at, instead of letting it build up and get worse. So I am excited to share the next bits of information for you, and I'm going to try to talk really fast and share as much as I possibly can, as I'm already doing, because you know what? You need to put this into action. Right? You need to learn this knowledge. So the knowledge is potential power. The reason I say it's potential power is because if you don't do anything with the knowledge, it's just potential power, right? But if you learn how to put it into action, then it becomes real knowledgeable power. So we're going to talk about ways in which you can turn things into action. And if you are wanting to know a little bit more or need some help in, like, how do I even put that into action in my own life? That's where I come in as a health coach, and I can partner with you and help you through that. And we'll learn a little bit more about that towards the end of the presentation today. So when we put all of these things together, the science, hope, and action, we can live the life that we really want to live. We can live with strength, with vitality, with love, with joy, with passion for what we do, without aches and pains, and we can take control over who we are and what is important to us in our health. And to me, that's the bottom line. You have to do what you think is most important for you. Because who doesn't want to live like this, right? Agreed. And just a reminder that when you take care of your brain, you're actually taking care of every little bit of you. So let's take care of our whole bodies, and let's get learning some fun information. All right, this is a little bit of one of the programs I have, which is called Build Your Brain Health, Build. So we're going to move into the U of uncovering possibilities, which is these lifestyle strategies. And I'm going to uncover some possibilities for you, just like we did in our mantra. I am open to possibility. Yes. And we're going to see what things might stick for you to take with you so that you can implement them into your life. We talked a little bit about these. We are going to focus on 3 of these lifestyle strategies: nourishment, stress less, and positive socialization. So I'm going to go off with the big one right here, which is positive socialization. And I touched on that a little bit, saying that positive socialization actually helps your brain cells, enhances your brain cell connectivity, the way that those brain cells send messages. And so there's a study that showed that even 10 minutes of positive socialization can help enhance the brain cells and the way they connect. So that is huge. Now, they did the same study and did it on negative interactions, and they saw that nothing happened to the brain. It was not a good and it was not a bad thing that happened. So we generally don't want to take negative. Who wants a negative socialization, right? Who wants to hang around with somebody who's a Debbie Downer? But still, you do end up having to do those socializations with the negative people, but you also have a choice in that. So choosing wisely on who you socialize with is the number one thing for positive socialization. Now, we are in a tough position right now because of this rule that we have where we have to wear masks, which of course we know is important because we do not want to receive COVID. We don't want to give it. So the thing is that no one can see that you're smiling underneath your mask. And a lot of people are like, right away when they see a mask, their face goes like this, scrunches up because they don't want to wear a mask. Well, we know it's important and we have to do it right now. So what happens if we take action in this manner? Because we're being faced with this. We don't have a choice right now to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. So if we took action, we could actually shift our perspective if we are feeling like, oh, this mask, I hate this mask, I hate this mask. If we can shift our perspective just slightly about wearing a mask. And I want to introduce you to the smize. Our eyes are super, super expressive, right? They make a lot of different kinds of emotions: anger, happiness, sadness, all of these different things. But if you didn't see my mouth, you may not always understand what's going on with my eyes. But what happens if you just try to smile with your eyes? So thinking about that for a minute as I show you something here. I don't know how this is going to work because I have my, oh, this may not work. I'm going to have to do this instead. So don't look at me for a minute. I had to take off my headset because it won't work. So I recently made a purchase, and I was so looking forward to this mask coming because every time I wear a mask, I too feel like, oh man, I have to wear this mask, but I'm going to try to smile with my eyes. And can you see the difference? No smize, smize. And when I really smize, I can actually open this up and really smize with my eyes. So I'm really just trying to show you that, yeah, it's a pain in the butt to wear the mask, but you can still positively socialize with wearing a mask if you're using your eyes. So really thinking about that as you go through your day when you're wearing your mask is how you can smile with your eyes so that you can positively connect with each other. In fact, even if you're going out, I put a mask on him because he's still smizing underneath his mask over his eyes. If you happen to be an artist, perhaps you can smile with your eyes doing that. Or maybe even if you're on a bicycle and having to wear your mask, you can still smize, right? Right. So I just wanted to start off with a little bit of fun because we can change our perspective. And when we choose to see the possibilities, we can improve our brain health and stay vital and active. All right, let's move on into nourishment, nourishing with real food. This has such a big impact in our brain vitality and our brain health Because when we eat real food, we'll talk about that in a minute, we reduce cellular inflammation, we reduce toxin exposure, and we restore insulin sensitivity. And this is very important. We talked about those two dementias, the Alzheimer's dementia, and then we also talked about the vascular dementia. And both of those dementias are really affected by reducing inflammation, reducing toxins, and making sure our insulin levels stay top notch and can do the job that insulin's supposed to do. Florence Nightingale, back in 1883, says, "Diet, not medicine, ensures health." So what we choose to eat, not our medicine, will ensure our health. In fact, if any of us have a disease, we know we take medicine, but we're trying to mitigate the symptoms. We're trying to slow down the symptoms of the disease. Wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to take medicine? Yes, it would be great. So if you're taking medicine, I want you to keep taking it. But I want you to also think about this as food, as medicine. And we're going to talk specifically about reducing body inflammation and toxic load through food, but knowing that this also improves our insulin sensitivity, so that when insulin is secreted by our pancreas, it's actually doing the job of bringing our blood sugars down. So how many of you have heard about the SAD diet? The SAD diet. Yes, have you heard of that? The Standard American Diet. SAD. It's the stuff you're faced with on a daily basis, right? It is the stuff, the food that you're that's put in front of you every day on TV commercials, when you walk down the grocery lane, when you're paying for your groceries, all the stuff and the junk that you're faced with that makes you want to have a snack and all of that kind of stuff, right? It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs. Well, the truth is that there are things that we can actually do about our sad American diet, and we can make choices that actually will help us feel better every time that we choose to eat. So let's talk a moment here about our processed kind of foods. So processed foods, things like potato chips or candies or donuts or sugar, or you know what I'm talking about, processed food. Well, let me show you this first here. So this is not processed. This is a cob of corn, and actually it's half eaten because my cat Moosey really loves corn. So this corn is for him. But there's no processing with a corn. I also brought over here a little package of corn that's frozen, and there's not really processing with corn, except that they took it off of the cob and they froze it. But then when I pull out tortilla chips, this is corn, but it's also been processed quite a bit, right? Yeah, something's happened to the original form, which used to be this, to turn it into this. Now, the only thing is that sometimes the tortilla chips, taste better than this, right? So we know that. This is true. This is a fact that some foods, actually a lot of the processed foods, are actually injected with a lot of chemicals and things that make them taste better. But did you know that processed foods have neurotoxins in them? They actually affect your brain cells and can potentially cause cell death. The things like MSG, the chemicals in the food, the food colorings, the binders, the sulfites, the solvents, all of this chemicals that they put into processed foods actually cause our brains to have more inflammation. They cause our brains, our blood sugar or insulin to become resistant. So our cells become resistant to using the insulin. And they can actually cause a shrinkage of our brain. So this is not a good thing to be eating. So I'm going to give you some action tips here in a minute, but I want to point out one other thing, which is trans fat. Trans fat is a man-made fat that's put into certain foods to help it achieve a longer shelf life, to give it more flavor, all that kind of stuff. But it also increases inflammation, increases insulin resistance. It causes heart disease. It stiffens the neuronal membrane, so the actually the covering around the neuron of the brain cell, and it can potentially shrink our brains too. Well, thankfully, trans fats are being booted out. We finally have the FDA on board with that are slowly starting to remove trans fats from our diet. But they're still out there because they're hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated fats or oils. So I want you to look for that on your labels. Partially hydrogenated or hydrogenated oils are actually trans fats. And we're going to talk about labels here in a minute. So, what can you do about this sad diet, this standard American diet? Well, here's one thing you can do. Don't eat it. Easier said than done, Nicole, right? Yes, absolutely easier said than done. But what about these guys? Eating cruciferous vegetables, or other word for them are brassica vegetables, or another word for them are cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts, radishes, arugula, anything that's leafy and green and crunchy can really help reduce the inflammation and the toxin overload in our cells, not only in our brain cells, but in our body cells. Actually, when I just say cells, that means all the cells, because like I said, when you take care of your brain, you're taking care of your whole body. So what happens when you eat these brassica, or these types of vegetables, they have something called sulforaphane in them. And I'm not going to ask you for, to spell that or anything, or have a test later. So what this sulforaphane does is it activates an antioxidant pathway called NRF2. And I'm certainly not going to give you a test on that, but I just want you to know that it activates a pathway that helps to detoxify and get rid of inflammation. And why I have these guys upside down is because when you turn a piece of a broccoli or a kohlrabi, that's the guy on the left side, when you turn those guys upside down, they look like a mop. A mop. Think of it as a mop cleaning up all of the inflammation and all of the toxins, bringing it into your digestive system so you can excrete it out of your body. Isn't that cool? Yes, and all you have to do is eat them, and you can eat them in many different ways. So your choice on how you eat them, but just get them into your body. Get them in your body at least twice a day, at minimum, of getting healthy vegetables into you. All right, let's move on to the next one. Eating fat won't make you fat. Some of you saw this already. Eating fat won't make you fat, right? Right. We went decades thinking that eating fat made us fat. That's not the truth. In fact, eating good fats actually help to boost up our ways that our brain sends messages, but it also increases ketone activity so that it can help keep our brains vital and strong and give them the energy, the cells, the energy they need to actually do the work that the brain's supposed to do. And the brain uses a ton of energy every day. So good fats come from DHA and EPA. Don't even worry about that. I just want you to know that they come from real food, like olives, nuts, seeds like sunflower seeds or flax seeds, and avocados is another choice. All of these foods are excellent for getting the good fat in to protect our brain cells. And we need to eat fat so that we can absorb these vitamins of vitamin A, E, D, and K and carotenoids that actually help keep our brains from aging because they're antioxidants. They help with that. They help give our brain energy and the vitamins to do the work that they're supposed to do. So we need the fat to absorb certain fat-soluble vitamins. Okay, so another great source of good healthy fats are the smash fish. And these are cold water fish mostly, like salmon, mackerel, anchovies, sardines, and herring are great sources of um, good fats to help our brains stay vital and strong. Now, if you happen to be a vegetarian, you can always go and get yourself a supplement of DHA and EPA as a supplement. So you can take a fish pill. I call them fish oil, fish pills every day. My husband pulls them out for me, and thankfully he reminds me to take my pills every day to help keep my fat contents high. But then I also supplement that by eating different sources of fat throughout the week. And the final thing in this category of nourishment is to read your ingredient labels. Okay, so I want to show you this this fun thing. So my girlfriend, she lives in Tucson, and she knows I do this kind of work in education. I love nutrition, and she sent me this box, and I was so flabbergasted because it's beautiful. I thought, oh my gosh, I can totally put all of my jewelry in here, and how beautiful! It's a Saguaro, and it's got some turquoise from Tucson. I mean, amazing. So I open it up. How nice that she sent me. And I open it up, and what do I see in here? Is a package of snowballs. So these, I call her up and I say, Stephanie, what is up with these snowballs? I mean, thanks for sending me the box, but what's up with the snowballs? And she said, well, first of all, Stephanie is a helicopter mechanic. So she's basically a badass. So she says, Nicole, I've had these snowballs in my toolbox for 12 years. And they still look exactly the same as when they were first processed. And I am looking at them now. I've had these for probably about 5 years. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17 years. And these snowballs, if I open them up right now, they would probably still taste as good as they once did because of their label. I'm going to flip to the next. Look at how many ingredients are in snowballs. A bajillion. A bajillion of chemicals, a bajillion of food coloring, a bajillion of all kinds of things that make them stick together and stay in this beautiful snowball shape of pink. So when I'm asking you to take a look at labels, I'm actually asking you to not worry so much about what's under the nutrition facts on the left-hand side of the label. I'm actually asking you to look at what's in the ingredients, the small print after the word ingredient. So in here we see corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, water, sugar, enriched bleach and unbleached flour, wheat flour, malted barley, blah, 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 all the way down to words I can't even say, like sodium stearoyl, lactylate, polysorbate, soy lecithin, all this kind of stuff. And I'm asking you to start looking at your labels, specifically the ingredients, because the least amount of ingredients, not gradients, the least amount of ingredients, the better the food choice. So earlier I pulled out the corn. Corn doesn't even have a label. In fact, well, if it did, it would just say corn on it, right? So corn, we know, is corn. Doesn't have anything else. Frozen corn, I looked at its label, its ingredient label. So I didn't look at so much at the nutrition facts. I went all the way down to the bottom where it says ingredients, and I looked, and all it says is white corn. So hey, I know that inside here is only corn. I did the same thing with the corn chips. Now the corn chips, I don't look so much at that. I mean, this label is important, but what I really want you to start looking at, because it makes it a lot easier and more simple, is to look at the ingredients. In here, we have Yellowstone ground corn. Okay, so that's good. Then we have canola oil. Not so good. It's not a very healthy oil. Salt. Some salt is good. Not a lot of salt is good because it does affect your blood pressure. And then a trace of lime, and then something called calcium hydroxide. So there's a lot more ingredients than just this, right? So when you begin to start looking at your ingredient labels, you're actually starting to make a choice. You're actually starting to say, okay, do I want to have corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, water, sugar, barley, flour, niacin, cornstarch, modified cornstarch, wheat, gluten, egg yolks, potassium sorbate, sorbic acid, sodium propionate. And that's a good thing too, is just try to read the label out loud. And if you can't say the words, it's a chemical and you should put it back on the shelf. Remembering that all of these chemicals and all of the processed foods cause our brain to become inflamed, have more toxins, and it causes our insulin to be less sensitive to getting rid of the glucose that can build up in our bodies. And then that leads to more inflammation and eventually disease. So to recap nourishment, we're going to try to eat real food. Try to eat those cruciferous veggies so we mop up all the toxins and inflammation. Eating healthy fats like the smash fish, or taking an EPA DHA vitamin capsule a day, or try to eat those avocados and nuts and seeds in your day. Couple servings, 3 or 4, 5, 6 servings a day. Avoiding foods that are processed and sugar, and try to read the ingredient label. And of course, if you ever want to try an elimination food plan, I got your back. And I'm actually going to be doing one in January to help us sort out if you have any food sensitivities and to help create more of a healthy balance of the food that you eat. Man, that's a lot of information, isn't it already? All right, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to tap into the next one we're talking. We've already touched on 2, positive socialization and nourishment. And mind you, I'm just picking out some real key points on these. There's a lot of information more that I could share with you, but I have such a limited time. All right, the next one we're going to talk about is stressing less. This one is really quite simple, but super hard at the same time. So when we can reduce stress, we help to enhance the way that our neurons conduct. So the way that we send information between cells, that improves. It also helps our hormones stay balanced. We sleep better, and it reduces inflammation in our cells. And this is really actually very apparent when you think about, okay, my hormones, do I sleep well? And I want to reduce my inflammation. When we think of a stressed out environment, we can think of this person right here, where her brow is totally furrowed, her eyes are scrunched up, her face is contracted and contorted, and she's like pulling out her hair. And you can imagine what that does to the inside of you if that is what's showing up on the outside of you. So inside, a lot of things are happening when you are stressed. Your cortisol levels are high. Your epinephrine levels are high. Your inflammation goes up. Your blood vessels become very small and constricted, slowing down the blood flow to your brain and the rest of your body. Your blood pressure goes up. Your blood sugars go up. And we don't want that. We want our blood sugars controlled so that it keeps our cells healthy. And then stress is also a cause of anxiety, depression, and isolation. And we know that isolation can lead to higher mortality as well. So when you think of yourself as stressed, do you sometimes look like this? Feel like this? On the outside, we see it. And on the inside, the same is going on. Inside, constriction, inflammation, tightness, revving up of systems, and we want everything to come to a balance like this. Calm. Cortisol levels go down. Epinephrine levels go down. Inflammation reduces. blood vessels open wide, so blood flows, energies exchanged, toxins go out, our blood sugars come under control, and eventually someday you are sitting on your desk in your bare feet with your legs crossed, feeling comfortable and calm and relaxed. So how do we even do any of this? Well, all we have to do is to breathe. Breathing itself elicits a relaxation response. And when we can have a relaxation response, all of our vessels widen, expand, and blood flow increases. When the blood flow increases, oxygen revitalizes our cells and our organs. Our organs are actually cells, so everything is revitalizing. And what happens when you forget to breathe? This, right? It's a joke, right? But stress can actually cause people to feel horrible. Cause people, yes, to feel horrible, but can also lead to other things, a cascade event of increased inflammation leading to cell destruction, leading to organ destruction, leading to disease. And if we can learn anything about today's presentation, it's this, to just take a moment to breathe. So how do we do it? We got to learn to take action and begin. We did do some of this at the very beginning when I asked you to do the mantra. I am open to possibility. And now I'm going to invite you one more time to sit back into your chair. Let the chair hold you. Softening your eyes, or if you'd rather look at this beautiful picture of nature, you are welcome to do that. And what we're going to do is breathe. And I'm just telling you this right now. We're going to inhale to a count of 4. You're going to hold your breath for a count of 4, and then exhale for a count of 5. And now I'm not going to count for you because everybody will breathe differently. And I want you to feel comfortable and confident to count on your own. So try it now. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold it for a count of 4. Then exhale for a count of 5. Try that on your own. And now let go of counting. Return back to your normal breath. Notice how you are. And slowly coming back to the room. Feeling energized and back together. Such a simple thing, isn't it? What's even more simple is that you can do this anywhere, even standing in line at the grocery store. No one is going to know if you're counting to 4 and then holding your breath for 4 and then exhaling for 5, or you can count to 3 and 4, or you can count to 7 and 8. Whatever number combination you'd like to try, you can. And that is your power, your choice, and your possibility. So what did you notice in yourself with doing that breathing? Anything? Whatever it is you noticed is what you noticed, and it is valid and you. So let's recap stressing less. We know that taking deep breaths shifts our hormones and induces and creates the relaxation response. And that meditation actually increases our gray matter and our hippocampus volume, where we store our memories. And it helps with brain plasticity. And a lot of other things you can try, like self-massage, just massaging your hands, massaging your head, or even trying some frankincense oils or lavender oils, if that's for you, or just simply take a moment to breathe. So I have shared a lot of information with you, and there is still more to learn, right? Yeah, there's always something to learn. So hopefully some of these tips can stick with you, even if you just try to eat a little bit more cruciferous vegetables, or if you just remember to take a breath here and there through your day. Eventually those things start to become more habitual. And if you are saying, gosh, Nicole, I don't know what to do with my life, I'm not sure how to put any of these things into my life. Well, I do offer health coaching one-to-one, where I work with you one-to-one and help you figure out plans that make sense to you so that you can implement them in your life. So whether it's you already know what you want to work on, maybe you have high blood pressure and you want to learn tips and tools on how to bring your blood pressure back into control, I can partner with you and help you figure out a way to do that alongside your doctor. And maybe you just don't know what you want to know, and you just know that you just don't feel your best. Well, I have plenty of assessments and tips and ideas that can help you create a plan for you so that you feel your best. So if you are so apt to learning more about that, I'll just jump on to bluemonarchhealth.com/services, and you can sign up for some health coaching with me, or simply, you've got my email, send me an email. I would love to partner with you. I would love to help you feel your best. So I hope you had an amazing day. I am so grateful, so thankful that you showed up here today to start to learn some tips and tools to really create vitalness in your body, vitality, strength, power, and take action to own your health, because you are the only one who is going to be able to do that. You are so loved. I hope you have an amazing day. Be safe, and bye for now. Talk to you soon.